Translation. By action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. There's no purport. Or read text 25. Anubandham kshaya himsam anapeksha cha paurusham mohad arabhyate karma yatatama samuchyate anubandham of future bondage, shayam destruction, himsam and distress to others, anapeksha without considering the consequences, cha also, parusham self-sanctioned, mohat by illusion, arabhyate is begun, karma work, yat which, tat that, tamasam in the mode of ignorance, uchyate is said to be. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charnarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. That action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions, and without concern for future bondage, or for violence, or distress caused to others, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Purport. One has to give account of one's actions to the state, or to the agents of the Supreme Lord, called the Yamadutas. Irresponsible work is destructive because it destroys the regulative principles of scriptural injunction. It is often based on violence and is distressing to other living entities. Such irresponsible work is carried out in the light of one's personal experience. This is called illusion. And all such illusory work is a product of a mode of ignorance. Anubandham kshayam himsam anapeksha cha paurusham mohad arabhyate karma yat tamasam uchyate. That action performed in illusion, in disregard of scriptural injunctions, and without concern for future bondage, or for violence, or distress caused to others, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Om Jnana Tramandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gurmukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Giram Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Iswaram Hare Krishna. So it is my great honor and pleasure to be here this evening at 26 2nd Avenue for the weekly Saturday Bhagavad-gita Satsanga. I'm very grateful to all of you for coming here this evening and giving your valuable time to share Bhagavad-gita together. Before I begin, I would like to seek the blessings of all the devotees that are present, that I can speak for my own purification. Thank you. Hare Krishna. It's very special to have the opportunity to speak here, to be here at 26 2nd Avenue, where the Hare Krishna movement started. Srila Prabhupada came to America in 1965, and New York was the first place where he really started preaching very vigorously. Before he came here, he was in the Upper West Side at Dr. Mishra's yoga studio. I was born here in New York, also in 1965, in a hospital next to Central Park, very close to Dr. Mishra's yoga studio. So my auntie, my mother's younger sister, she used to regularly come and hear Prabhupada's Kirtans at Tompkins Square Park. She was a hippie, and she was a NYU student. So I remember she visited India 3 times also. And once with me, the last time we went together. We went to Vrindavan and Jaipur and different holy places. And twice she went before I became a devotee or anything. Once I was small, about 5 years old. She came back from India and she gave me some Ganga Jal.
Wow.
And I remember opening it up and kind of playing with it. And maybe I drank a little of it. She helped me a lot, coming closer to Krishna consciousness. It's amazing how people help us in our journey to Krishna consciousness. No man is an island, especially within the community of devotees. We're so much connected. And maybe from previous lives also, we're all in this journey together, back home, back to Godhead. And we have our mentors, we have our guides, we have our friends who encourage us, and we have the opportunity to help newer people also to come. So Srila Prabhupada made a great sacrifice to come here to US, leaving Sri Vrindavan Dham. I just came from Sri Vrindavan Dham. I was there about 2 weeks ago. And then I was in Dubai for about a week, and I came here. I just got off the plane 4 days ago. Still a little jet lagged. I wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning, ready for lunch. But Srila Prabhupada made a big sacrifice to come here, crossing the Atlantic Ocean at such an advanced age. And we all owe a tremendous debt to Srila Prabhupada, because he's turned all of us from hippies into happies. Our lives were so miserable before coming to Krishna consciousness. And now we have so much, life is an adventure every day, every moment. It's a new opportunity to try to remember Krishna, to try to deepen our relationship with Krishna and his devotees, and deepen our relationship with the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it's said that one can never repay the debt to the spiritual master. The debt can never be paid, but one should try to pay that debt. And Prabhupada said the way we can repay or try to repay that debt is, he said, whatever I have given you, you please share that with others. So however we can assist Srila Prabhupada and his followers in this great mission to spread the chanting of the holy names all over the world. Prativete ache nata nagaradi gram sarva tripachar hoibe moranam. However we can facilitate and participate in that mission, we should do to the best of our capacity. And that will be good for the rest of the world, and that will be good for us also. So we have to get into action to spread Krishna consciousness. So that is the best action. Here in this section of Bhagavad-gita, we're also speaking about action. And some of it is good action, and some of it is passionate action, and some of it is action in the mode of ignorance. So that is the discussion today, to understand what is this action in the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance, and what is the result of such actions. So Srila Prabhupada stresses in the previous purport that goodness, action in the mode of goodness, is the best, because it leads to transcendence. It leads to our cultivation of Krishna consciousness. It's good for us, and it's good for others also. Acting in the mode of goodness will help us to come to the transcendental platform. Just like if you want to travel, like I did from Vrindavan to New York, you can't just walk out of Fogel Ashram in Vrindavan and walk down the street and come to New York. It just doesn't work like that. First thing you have to do is go to the airport. From the airport you can travel to New York. So the mode of goodness is like the airport. We need to get there first before we can get to the transcendental platform. Of course, Krishna consciousness is a very powerful process, and if we fully engage in the process of Krishna consciousness, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhikabanoi Shravanadi Shuddhachite Karye Udoi, then by practicing hearing and chanting, then Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, eternally Nitya, eternally Siddha, perfect Krishna Prema, love for Krishna, Karye Udoi, Shravanadi Shuddhachite, by hearing and chanting, Karye Udoi. Udoi means awakening, like the rising sun, rising up. So Krishna Prema, love for Krishna, is in everyone's heart, every living entity. Sometimes people say, so, who are the devotees in the room here? But in a sense, everyone is a devotee, because Krishna Prema is lying dormant in everyone's heart. So this process can elevate us immediately to the transcendental platform. But generally, it's more gradual. We pass from mode of ignorance to mode of passion to mode of goodness, and then we can come to the transcendental platform. I remember when I was a high school student, I was living in New York, and then when I was in second grade, our family moved to Westchester County. So I was living in the suburbs. And I remember being so much in the mode of ignorance, sleeping at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and then waking up at 4 in the afternoon, in the winter time when the sun had already set. And I was like, oh my God, it's too much, total ignorance. And then when I was in college, I started to get more in the mode of goodness. Started visiting the Hare Krishna temple. And I remember becoming passionate. Passionate because I was a Berklee College of Music student in Boston. And my aspiration in life was to become a star on MTV. Because I wanted name, fame, glory. Same old story. And then I remember I decided to stop watching television. And that was one of the turning points in my life. That really helped me a lot. Stop getting contaminated by the one-eyed guru, which is the television, the one-eyed guru. So I stopped watching television, and that helped me to get more in the mode of goodness. And then becoming more simple, traveling. I traveled about 25 countries after college. So I had very few possessions, so it's very simple. And then meeting devotees again and again in Brazil, in Argentina, all over US, and New Orleans, and in Canada, and Montreal, and in Europe. Finally, I joined them in Ireland, so many places. Then coming to mode of goodness and coming to the transcendental platform by the mercy of the Vaishnavas. So Bhakti Mam Abhijanati Yavanyaschasmi Tattvatah Tattvato Gyatva Vishate Tadanantaram. Krishna explains in Bhagavad-gita in the 18th chapter that only by bhakti can I be known in truth. And when one knows me in truth, one does not return to this material world, but one attains the supreme abode. So this is coming to the transcendental platform will help us go back home, back to Godhead. Last class we discussed the mode of goodness, action in the mode of goodness. That was verse number 23. Krishna says, that action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desire for fruit of results, is said to be in the mode of goodness. So this is the kind of action that we want. It should be regulated, that means steady, and it should be performed without attachment. Samoham sarvabhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tamam bhaktya mayi teteshu chapyaham. Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita that I'm equal to everyone. Samoham sarvabhuteshu, I'm equal. Name dveshosti na priyaha, I'm not envious of anyone. Name dvesho na priyaha, I'm not particularly inclined towards anyone. I'm equal. Samoham, shama. I'm equal to everyone. So someone who's acting in the mode of goodness is also like that, is equal to everyone. And mode of goodness means without desire for fruitive results. Like when I wanted to become an MTV star, I wanted some fruitive results. I wanted the rock star lifestyle of so many fast cars, and so all the things that go along with that, money and this and that. This is fruitive results. So this is not in the mode of goodness. I've been based in India for 28 years now. I first came to India in 1992, and I've been based there since that time. Now I'm based in Noida, which is near Delhi. Only about 2 hours from Vrindavan. And I spend a lot of time in interior of Maharashtra, like Pandharpur, Solapur, Nagpur, Pune, Latur, places like that. And I've noticed one thing I learned from being in India is that the Indian people have different motivation for doing things than we have here in the US. Generally, there are exceptions, of course. So in the US, we're very much results orientated. Why we do something? We want to get some result. So that we want some fruit of result. But Indians, they have this word, comes up so much. You thank someone for something. They say, no, don't thank me, it's my duty. Right? It's a mantra. You hear this again and again. They say, it's my duty. Do Americans say that? No. Americans don't say that. This concept of duty, it's much more. Of course, you may disagree with me, but no, you don't. Okay, that's good. You hear it every day, right? Indians, they say this. Yes. They say, yeah, it's my duty, it's my duty. So duty is a mode of goodness. Why you do something, it's not because you want some result. You do it because it's the right thing to do. You do it because it's your duty. So that when we do something because it's the right thing to do, without desiring any result, then we experience some kind of detachment. Whether there's a result or it's not a result, we're aloof. We're detached. Because we're doing it just because it's our duty. That's what we're supposed to do. So this is the beauty of the Varnashram system that's created by Krishna. Because in the Varna ashram system, we can understand what is our duty and what are we supposed to do. And it makes life much, much more simple, and we can become more detached. What is that Varnashram system? Krishna explains in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, text number 13, Chatur Varnya Maya Shristam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha Tasya Kartram Apimam Vidya Kartram Avyayam. It says Chatur. Chatur means 4. These 4 Varnas and 4 ashrams were created by me. Chaturvarnyam Maya Shristam. Maya means by me, and Shristam means created. Chaturvarnyam. These 4 Varnas, 4 ashrams, Maya, by me, Shristam, created. Guna, Karma, Vibhagashaha. According to the guna, the qualities, the karma means the work, Vibhagashaha means divided. The divisions are there. Tasya Chaturvarnya Maya Shristam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha Tasya Kartram Apimam Vidya Kartram Avyayam. And he says, even though I created the system, I'm aloof from the system. So Krishna does not necessarily have to come within the system. He's transcendental. Some will say, oh, he's a cowherd boy. Krishna herds the cows, so he must be a Vaishya. And then some people say, no, he's a king in Dwarka. He must be a Kshatriya. So there's different. But Krishna is beyond the system. But he set the system up for us so we can understand our duties. The four varnas are the brahmanas, the kshatriyas, the vaishyas, the shudras. The brahmanas are the priests and the educators, and they give advice and guidance. The second level is the kshatriyas. They're administrators, military people. They take care of the government, the politics. And kshatriya means they protect others from hurt. They're protectors. Then there are the vaishyas. They take care of the cows. They do the banking. They do the business. They're the mercantile class, the businessmen. And then the shudras, they assist the other classes. And they're also artists, the artisans, musicians. Yeah. So, Chaturvarnya Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vivaga Shahat Tasya Kartram Apimam Vidya Kartram Aviham. So, if we follow the Varnashram system and we try to understand, it will help us understand our duty. So that's the Varna, the occupation, and then the Ashram means how we're situated in life. Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. So Brahmacharis, they're celibate students. Grahasthas, they're family people, they get married and they have families. Vanaprasthas, their family life is pretty much finished. Their children are grown up and they become more detached. And like my friend Pancharatna Prabhu, I met him in the Brooklyn temple recently. He and his wife, their children are all grown up, and now they moved back in the temple. Like his wife was telling me that she was living in the temple for several years doing book distribution, and then she got married and they had their whole household. She said, now I'm back in the Brahmacharini ashram. So this is Vanaprastha life. And there are different duties. And then sannyas life is the last ashram, and that's fully detached, fully renounced, and dedicating oneself fully to the mission of Krishna consciousness. So this Varnashram system helps one to cultivate this mode of goodness and do action in the mode of goodness. Because Prabhupada mentions in the purport that relegated occupational duties as prescribed in the scriptures in terms of the different orders and divisions of society, that's the Varnashram system that we've been discussing, performed without attachment. There's no attachment. It's my duty, so there's no attachment. We can try to cultivate this mindset, of doing things because it's our duty and not because we want something. Performed without attachment or proprietary rights, and therefore without any love or hatred. And performed in Krishna consciousness for the satisfaction of the Supreme. So this, Prabhupada adds this aspect in of for the satisfaction of the Supreme. So, Dharma swanistitaha pumsam visvaksena katasu yaha notpadiyat yadiratim shrama eva hi kevalam. Srimad Bhagavatam explains that if whatever occupational duty we perform, if it doesn't give us attachment for hearing about Krishna, if it doesn't give us, if it doesn't provide pleasure for Krishna, then shrama eva hi kevalam. It's a useless waste of time. So this Bhagavatam also explains that we should perform our occupational duties for the pleasure of Krishna. And if we do that, then our occupational duties are successful. For the satisfaction of the Supreme. That's the bottom line. We want to act and perform our actions with the motivation that what I'm doing now, or what I'm going to do, or what I did, that is for the pleasure of Krishna. That's a perfect motivation. For the pleasure of Krishna and for the pleasure of Krishna's devotees. We can kind of check in with ourselves sometimes, reality check. What am I doing now? Why am I doing it? Am I doing it for the pleasure of Krishna and Krishna's devotees? If the answer is yes, then we're doing action in the mode of goodness. We've got to the airport. We're on our way to Golok. But if the answer is no, then we have to reassess. Sometimes there's a good system, a good telltale sign. I have this experience I can share of sometimes something happens and you realize that I'm doing something not 100% for the pleasure of Krishna. It's also for my pleasure. I'm also attached. And the symptom is that you get attached. And the symptom of being attached is when you get angry. If you want to do something and it doesn't work out the way you want, and you get angry, then that's a good sign that actually I'm attached to this, and because I'm not getting it the way I want, then I'm getting angry. Because if we're just doing it because it's our duty and for pleasing Krishna, Krishna's the supreme controller. Ishvara Parama Krishna. So whatever happens, it's in Krishna's control. So if something happens and we're not happy and we get angry, it means we're attached to something that's out of our control. So whenever we get angry, it's a good opportunity to check in with ourselves and seeing, what is my motivation here? Why am I getting angry? What am I attached to? Is it because I wanted my own sense gratification or to please Krishna? So this is good. Getting angry is a time to realize our shortcomings and see where we really stand. When Prabhupada concludes that purport, he says, perform for the satisfaction of the Supreme without self-satisfaction or self-gratification. Those are actions in the mode of goodness. In the purport, we can understand the qualities of passion and ignorance. Prabhupada writes in the purport about the mode of ignorance. He says, actually we can talk a little bit about the mode of passion first. I think that would be good. There's no purport, but we can say a few words. We already have. In text 24, action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his senses, his desires, and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in a mode of passion. So a lot of modern day politicians, they get into politics, they work so hard. For some degrees, some of them they want to help the people, but for some of them, they want to have their own false egos. You know, I am the ruler, I am the controller, I'm the top man, like that. I'm the top lady. So they make a big endeavor to do this, to gratify their own desires. So good leaders, they're acting not for their own sense gratification, for their aggrandizement, but for the benefit of the people. That's a real leader. So a leader who has other people's best interests in mind, that's mode of goodness. But a leader who's just trying to lord it over others, that's mode of passion. And mode of passion leads to suffering. So we have a lot of suffering in the world today because we don't have, all of our leaders are not perfectly ideal. Text 25. That action performed an illusion in disregard of scriptural injunctions, without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others, is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So, basically, we can understand what is to be done and what is not to be done by the wealth of the scriptures, by the Bhagavad-gita, Rajavidya Rajaguyam Pavitramidam Uttamam Prajakshavangamam Dharmyam Susukam Kartam Avyayam. Bhagavad-gita is the king of knowledge. And by this knowledge, we can understand what is to be done and what is not to be done. But we see many people today, they don't care what is in the scriptures. They want to do what they want to do. Just do it. That is a popular slogan from our favorite shoe company there. So this is unfortunate that people they just want to be independent of Krishna, they want to be independent of the scriptures. And in this way, they act in the mode of ignorance. And they don't care if it gives pain to others, if it's for their own sense gratification benefit, they go ahead. Just look at this huge meat industry around the world. They're killing so many cows and killing so many animals. And vegetarian diet is perfectly healthy and economically sustainable in so many ways. But just because people, they want to satisfy their tongue, they're willing to perform this violence. It's called himsa. Versus the Prabhupada, he talks about ahimsa. Buddha was the first, one of the main incarnations to discuss ahimsa, means non-violence. And also Krishna mentions ahimsa in Bhagavad-gita in the 13th chapter, in the 8th to 12th. There are 20 items of knowledge mentioned by Krishna in the 13th chapter, texts 8 to 12. And ahimsa is one of them. Amanidvam adam vidvam ahimsa kshantir arjavam acharya pashanam socham stayam atma vinigraha. So ahimsa is one of the items of knowledge mentioned by Krishna. And Prabhupada gives a very interesting definition of ahimsa in the purport of that verse. I'd just like to share it with you. Prabhupada writes, non-violence, that means ahimsa, is generally taken to mean not killing or destroying the body. Like to kill all these animals is himsa, it's violence. But actually non-violence means not to put others in distress. People in general are trapped by ignorance in the material concept of life, and they perpetually suffer material pains. So unless one elevates people to spiritual knowledge, one is practicing violence. It's quite interesting, huh? The mandate is to elevate others to spiritual consciousness. And if one does not do that, then one is practicing violence. What's that?
By default, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't do, right. If you don't elevate others, Bharata Bhumate Hoy Manusya Janmajar, Janma Satakakari, Para Upakar. Para Upakar. Upakar means welfare, and Para means topmost. So topmost welfare work is giving Krishna consciousness to others. And if one doesn't do that welfare work, then one is practicing violence. One should try his best to distribute real knowledge to the people so that they may become enlightened and leave this material entanglement. That is real non-violence. This is an interesting definition by Prabhupada of non-violence in the 13th chapter, text 8. There's a very nice set of verses there. I recommend have a look at it sometime. Text 13, chapter 13, text 8 to 12. It's a nice group of verses. 20 items of knowledge. And at the end he says, and this is knowledge, and whatever this, not this, is ignorance. Wow. So what is the result of actions in the mode of ignorance? Prabhupada writes in the purport, is that you end up meeting the Yamadutas, the agents of Yamaraj. So we don't want to meet them. I remember when I was an elementary school student, second grade. I had just moved from the Bronx to Westchester County. I was in a new school. And my school, the principal was an ex-Marine. It was like a huge guy. And they had allowance for physical punishment of the students if they did something wrong. He was a huge guy. So one day I was standing on line waiting to go in after lunch. You know, they line up all the students. And they said, everyone, no talking, can't say a word. So I was standing there. I wasn't talking, but the monitor said, hey, you're talking. I said, no, I'm not talking. And she said, do you want to meet the principal? And I said the stupidest thing I ever said in my life. I said, okay. And everyone, all the students, they went, ooh. And then I felt like I met one of the Yamadutas. He beat me up so badly, my God. It was horrible. But he's just a dim reflection of the real Yamadutas. If you meet one of those Yamadutas, then you get tortured for thousands of years, all kinds of horrible tortures. So some people might think, well, I don't know who these Yamadutas are. I never heard of them even, so probably I won't meet them. But ignorance of the law is no excuse. Just like here in America, we drive on the right side of the road. But in London, they drive on the left side of the road. So if a person from America goes to London and drives on the right side of the road, the police will catch them. And then the person may say, oh, my dear policeman, I'm sorry, I'm from America. I didn't know. But then ignorance of the law is no excuse. The policeman will still give a ticket, still give a fine, may make him appear in court. So whether one knows about Yamadutas or doesn't know about Yamadutas, still, if one performs actions in the mode of ignorance, one is very likely to meet the Yamadutas. So we have to perform non-violence. We have to share this spiritual knowledge with others so that they can avoid this difficult situation. I'm going to just summarize that we spoke about the mode of goodness, action in the mode of goodness, which is not motivated, it's just out of duty, it's because it's the right thing to do for the pleasure of Krishna. And then we spoke about the mode of passion, which is activities that's personally motivated. We want to get something out of it. Our ego is going to get gratified. I want to get some fruit of results, some money, some land, some possessions. What's in it for me? And then we spoke about action in the mode of ignorance, which is like, that can cause harm to others, himsa, like Hitler. You see what Hitler did. He had his own personal agenda, and so many people died and suffered so much. I saw a photograph the other day of one of the camps in Auschwitz, and the prisoners were in a gas chamber, and there's all these marks on the wall of the nails of the prisoners trying to escape, scratching the walls. I saw the picture of the walls. So this is the kind of action and mode of ignorance. Don't care about others, just care about number one, and it doesn't care if it's violence and causing distress to others. But this is the way people are in the world. People, we have the three modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And this is, as a result of these modes, people act in a certain way. And by acting in a certain way, there are these different results. So acting in goodness, one can go towards Krishna consciousness. When acting in the mode of passion, one will take birth again and again. And acting in the mode of ignorance, one meets the Yamadutas.
So it's the worst, the ignorance is really the worst one, right?
Yes, ignorance is the worst one.
Right. From the other two, right?
It's kind of it's a progression.
Oh, I see, yes.
You want to move from the mode of ignorance to the mode of passion, and mode of passion to the mode of goodness, and mode of goodness to transcendence, to Krishna consciousness. Yeah, different platforms. Are there any other questions, comments? Yes, Prabhu?
So, in the mode of ignorance, we go to Yamadutas and then get tortured and take one of the animal forms and go on. Mode of goodness, we equip our spirits, go to the higher planets. So, what about those in the mode of passion? So, where do we end up?
Yeah, those in the mode of passion, they can also see they can also meet the Yamadutas. They can also Abrahma bhuvana loke punar arvartino juna mamupecha tukanteya punar janma na vidyate. That Krishna writes in the 8th chapter, text 16 of Bhagavad-gita, that from the highest planetary system to the lowest planetary system, all are places of repeated birth and death. But one who comes to me, he does not return again to this material world. So mode of passion person will be caught up in that samsara chakra, that cycle of repeated birth and death in so many different animal species and human species, like that.
So all three modes are finally in the cycle of birth and death.
All three modes are in the cycle of birth and death. Interesting, mostly mode of goodness people can continue in the human form. But the passionate and ignorant people, they may not. But if we give someone a chance to practice Krishna consciousness, or we practice Krishna consciousness, then we're guaranteed at least human form. Neha bikramo nashosti prativaya navidyate swalpapam apasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor, there's no loss or diminution, and even a little advancement on this path can save us from the most dangerous type of fear. And that most dangerous type of fear is taking birth in the animal species. So, all of these three modes can take birth again. Prabhupada writes in the purport regarding action and mode of goodness that remembering Krishna and for the pleasure of Krishna, this is also considered goodness. So in one sense, if that definition is there, if a person is acting for Krishna's pleasure, then it's transcendental, then it's devotional service. Anyabhilasita shunyam jnana karma anavratam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhakti uttama. That a person, according to Prabhupada's purport here, a person acting in the mode of goodness, if it's for Krishna's pleasure, without any personal motivation, without desire for karma or jnana, then this is pure devotional service. And one practicing pure devotional service, he can take birth as a human, like we said, neha bikrama nashosti, or he can even go back home, back to Godhead, if he remembers Krishna at the time of death. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavan jajante ante kalevaram tam tamevati konteya sadatan bhava bhavataha. Whatever we remember at the time of death, that we will attain without fail. So let's remember Krishna by keeping Krishna's names on our tongue. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Is that okay, Prabhu? Yes? Thank you. Okay, let's make this the last question, I think. Yeah, go ahead.
You said that the scripture said, one who goes, come to me, Krishna says, he will not come back to this material world again. I often heard that the pure devotee of the Lord, they appear to be in this world, but they don't live in this world. Does that mean that if a spirit soul in a human body attain purity, like completely back to Godhead, does that mean that he doesn't have or she to die to be with, he doesn't have to die to be with, like,
Be with Krishna?
He will not be in a material world. Like he said, one will come back to me, never fall down. I mean, they always have to be vigilant, but they will never come back to this material world. And you said that one who make it, Krishna said, one who make it to me, never come back to this material world. And he appear like those pure devotee, like, like scripture or whatever in here. They appear like they in this moving in the material world, but they not appear to be in the material. They not appear to be in the material world. So, does that mean that we don't have to die to be in the material world, but at the same time circulate in the material world, but don't be in the material world? Does that mean you don't understand my question?
I'm waiting for you to conclude so I can see.
Do you understand my question? Did you understand?
Let me see
Does
if I
that
can.
mean, no, I want to say, Lord Krishna said, one who come back to me, never come back to this material world. Does that mean we have to die to come back to him, or they can be, like we look at the pure devotee? So does that mean that we can be, does that mean that they circulate in the material world, but they're not really in the material world? Of course, they will have to be vigilant, of course. They will always have to be vigilant. But does that mean that when Lord Krishna said, one who come to me, never come back to the material world, doesn't come back here. One who come to me doesn't come back here. So does that mean that one who come back to me, like if they completely absorb in Krishna consciousness, does that mean that can we say that they circulate in the material world, but they're not really in the material world? Can we say that? Or they have to leave the body to be with Krishna? Do you understand? No, it's kind of confusing, right? Do you understand my question?
I think he understands. Let him answer. I think he understands.
Why don't you give me a chance to see if I can repeat your question so that I can see if I understand you properly. So if I understand you correctly, you're asking that, first of all, you stated the concept is that Krishna writes in Bhagavad-gita that one who returns to the spiritual world, he never returns here again. You mentioned that. And then also your question appears to be that can someone be together with Krishna and still be here in the material world?
But not really be in the material. They circulate in the material world, but they're not in the material world. So when does that mean they can be like that? They can be circulating in the material world, but they're not really in the material world. Does that mean that they have to die to not be in a material world, or they can still circulate in the material world but don't be in the material world?
They can still circulate in the material world and not be in the material world at the same time. The Sanskrit term for this is called Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta. Jivan means a jiva or life. They're living in the material world, but at the same time they're mukta. They're completely connected with Krishna. So one who is very advanced in Krishna consciousness can be in the world, but not of the world. Just like a lotus flower is called pankaja. Pankaja. Ja means birth, and panka means mud. So the lotus flower is very beautiful, and it's coming out of the mud, but it's not dirty, and the lotus flower doesn't get wet. So in this way, the lotus is there in the mud, in the water, but it's not getting dirty and it's not getting wet. In the same way, someone advanced devotee who is Jivan Mukta, he's in this world, but he's not affected by the modes of material nature. He's constantly with Krishna. He's in the transcendental platform. So in this way, he doesn't have to leave his body to be together with Krishna. He's already with Krishna, even in this material body. That's called Jivan Mukta. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here, and I'd like to express my gratitude once again for all of you for coming this evening and giving me an opportunity to have your association. I have some little bit of Mahaprasadam from Sri Vrindavan. Just a little bit. Everyone take a little piece. Oh, you want to have a little short kirtan? And a prasadam serve out. So we'll do a little short kirtan, and then we'll have a prasadam serve out. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad-gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Tagore Premanande. Welcome, welcome. Hare Krishna. Give me a note.